Welcome to the People Sports Podcast. We are Charlotte Wilder and Mark Titus. It is up to you, the listener, to figure out which one is which as you listen to the show. It is going to be a challenge, I think, but I think you guys will be up to it. How are you doing, Charlotte? I guess I could just spoil it.
I was going to say, well, Charlotte, thank you for that lovely intro. I'm Mark, and I love small markets and my dog. In all
seriousness, I've done a show with Tate for like 4 or 5 years now, and feels like once a month someone's like, I've been listening to your guys' show forever and I can't tell which one's which, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. That says more about you than it does us, I think.
Also, like, if you haven't figured out a host's neuroses after 4 or 5 years, it's like we all have shticks, and in my case, in your case, it is just that we are weirdos and talking to a microphone. Like, they're not put on. We are just unfortunately like this. But you kind of catch on fairly quickly, you know?
Yeah.
So that's impressive. I mean, yeah, I guess, you're welcome that I'm a woman. I don't know what to tell you.
Thank you.
Makes everything easier.
Oh, God. Never mind. Moving on. We have to figure out what we want to talk about this week, and the boys, there are a lot to talk about, Charlotte. This is, I said on the show we did Monday, the bonus show, that sports has officially pulled me back. I'm back into loving sports. There's so much going on. Everywhere you turn. I think the NBA Finals being bumped to July has made it. It's bad for the NBA. We should say that, because the ratings are atrocious, and whether that actually matters for the long term. Anytime you mention ratings of the NBA,
I'm just laughing. Like, as soon as you say the ratings are atrocious, like, you're gonna get a laugh out of me. I know. Well, but how do you feel about them in July? Do you like it?
No, I don't really like it in July, but I was saying I like the idea of there being a ton of sports on, but I can't like focus on the one thing going on. That's the problem. I mean, for God's sakes, like the USA basketball team is playing at the same time, not literally the same time, but it feels like the same time that the NBA Finals is going on, and my basketball brain can only kind of handle one thing. Meanwhile, like the basketball tournament, which you probably don't even know about or care about, but it's like kind of a fun little thing that happens every summer where all these like alumni of college basketball teams get together and play in a little tournament for like $1 million. That's always supposed
literally $1 million?
Yeah. It's always supposed to be like a
what is that? Does that have a name?
The basketball tournament. That's what it's called. That's all it's called.
I can't tell if you're messing with me.
No, it's gone on for almost 10 years now, Charlotte.
Okay. I'm going to believe you, because the more I question this, the more I'm going to look like an idiot. So continue. Yes, obviously, the basketball tournament that I know about as a person who works in sports.
It's supposed to be a thing that like they throw out there as there's nothing going on in the summer, so here's some basketball for you for the summer. And now it's like we have too much basketball already.
Too much basketball.
We have the MLB All-Star game. We have Wimbledon just happened. Euro 2020 happened. Copa America happened. Like, all of this stuff is going on, Charlotte. There's a lot to talk about. What do we definitely not want to talk about? What on that list that I just threw out there is like, please, let's avoid that?
Well, one thing comes to mind specifically, which I don't want to talk about because I want to talk about it too much. Like, I don't want to talk about it because it's such a bad thing technically.
If the topic comes out of your mouth, you just won't be able to stop yourself. So what is that topic?
So I'm going to talk, we're going to talk about it with some breaks on and then get to the real topic. But USA basketball, man. I mean, they keep losing. They finally did not lose. They finally beat Argentina by 28 points? Like, it wasn't.
Yeah. Not enough. It doesn't matter. Like, they had to win. They had to win by 100, literally 100, for everyone to be like, "Oh, okay, now I trust where this is going."
No. Everyone's still like, "I don't trust you at all." They lost to Nigeria. They lost to Australia. They had previously in the London Olympics beat Nigeria by 83 points. And it is a kind of thing that it should. To me, I don't know if this says more about me or about Team USA basketball. I think this is hilarious. I think it is objectively very, very funny that Team USA kept or is not beating everybody. Let's put it that way. And Mark, I've been able, as I was thinking about it before the show, I figured out why I think it's so funny.
Okay.
Because first of all, the stakes are low. USA is already in the Olympics. These are exhibition games.
Yeah.
Secondly, the NBA as a league, it's not like there's another league in Australia or Nigeria that is, really nipping on the heels of the NBA. Like, the NBA is still where everybody wants to play basketball.
By far the best league. By far.
Right. Like,
yeah.
it's not a question.
It's the NBA and the Big Ten, I'd say. Like, those are the two. I think the Big Ten's up there, but yeah.
Well, it might be Big Ten and then NBA, but you have to be in college to play in Big Ten, so it's not really a fair comparison. But it's almost like USA was so entitled. It's sort of like the classic American, like, we're the best, I deserve to be here, and had no question. It wasn't even a question in anyone's mind that Team USA would win. And then to lose spectacularly twice in a row is like the 90s sports villain. The sports villain in a 90s movie losing to the upstart scrappy team. It's like you can't help but laugh and kind of root for the other guys, even though technically I should be cheering for Team USA.
It is a very bizarre situation to find yourself in as an American and a fan of sports and a basketball fan in my case. Like I don't know. I love the USA basketball team. I have my entire life. I will watch if the United States men's national basketball team, whatever they're called. What is the men's national team? I think it's the soccer.
I don't know. Men's
basketball. The dream. Yeah. I did like that like we as a country just kept calling the USA as soon as all the professionals started playing in 92, we called them the dream team. 96 we were like, yeah, the dream team. The 2000 we're like the dream team, and then 2004 we're like, definitely not the dream team. Get them out of here. But yeah, it does feel like people still, I don't know. There's still people that like default to just calling them the dream team.
Right,
this
and
team,
you're like,
this team right now, folks.
This is the nightmare team.
This is not a dream team situation. It is weird that you're laughing, and I find myself laughing too when Kevin Durant goes up for the dunk against Nigeria late in that game and gets stuffed. The part of me that's an American and a basketball fan should have been like, damn it.
Right.
That's my guy, Kevin Durant. I don't like this. And instead, I'm laughing my ass off. And I think the reason why it's funny, Charlotte, is as you said, like we as a country are, like I think most people would say we're arrogant to begin with, but certainly we are arrogant when it comes to basketball. We're very the style of play that all the guys on the USA basketball team are accustomed to does not translate perfectly to the FIBA situation, which is to say there were a lot of instances in those first two games of guys like trying to draw fouls, looking at the refs and saying, I'm a superstar. Where's my foul call? And the ref's like, this isn't the NBA. Get your ass back on defense. There's a lot of one-on-one, which is like great in the NBA, and that's kind of the name of the game. It doesn't work quite as well in FIBA for a handful of reasons. There's like a few like tweaks to the rules that the guys like just refuse to learn because it doesn't matter because we're so much better. So it's not necessarily that we are losing. I don't think that's so funny. It's how we are losing. It's that there's no part of Team USA. And as you said, we beat Argentina. So like you could argue that maybe we've turned a corner. Maybe we won't lose from here. I don't know. But it felt like there was no part of us that like would hit the brick wall and come up against like some sort of, like I said, like you're flopping and the refs aren't calling it and saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to adjust. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. This is a different kind of, instead our attitude as a country when it comes to basketball is like, this is bullshit. You're wrong. No, you're wrong, ref. Like you should be calling the foul.
How dare you not call the foul when I flopped? And it's also sort of the makeup of the team is a little bit arrogant in and of itself, which is like mostly, wings and shooters. There's no like traditional
dirty work
big
guys.
Man.
Yeah,
there's
nobody,
no what? Yeah.
There's nobody that wants to do the dirty work. I mean, like Draymond Green, I guess.
Come on, like but he's not even like a traditional center the way that, so it's sort of like, we'll just like, it's what we're talking about almost with the efficiency of basketball now, where it's like, we'll just like efficient them. And then these, big basketball men are like, you thought? Like, really? So I just think that it's
Hell of a recap there.
You thought? But I mean,
these
and if
big
they're
basketball
having
men were like, you thought.
Yeah. Come on, spot the lie. And the problem is that if they're having chemistry issues now, and you've got three guys, you've got Chris Middleton joining, you've got who else? Devin Booker and Drew Holiday.
Yep.
I mean, also I saw this stat that I thought was funny, which is the Slovenian national team has more first-team All-Stars than the USA basketball.
What?
Because they have Luka and there's no first team.
Oh, first team All NBA guys. Yeah.
What did I say?
First team All-Star. It's the same point. I didn't understand what you're.
Well, because I said it wrong.
Yeah, but I get what you mean. Like, so,
you knew
like,
what I was going for.
The argument, what you're basically saying is that Slovenia's best player is a better NBA player than anyone we have, according to the All NBA teams, which is an interesting.
If you
wrinkle.
go by that.
Yeah, that's.
But also, like, none of the big guys are playing, right? Like, I'm big guys. Like, LeBron's not playing, Steph's not playing.
Yeah.
I mean, and I kind of don't blame them. Like, I don't think I would play, but at the same time, I think it's kind of bullshit that they're not playing.
So I guess you could go there with it, because you are right. We do not have our fully best team playing, but we have a very good team. We have Kevin Durant, we have Jason Tatum, we have Bradley Beal, we have Damian Lillard.
I wasn't saying that, for the record, I wasn't saying that as a defense of their losing. I was saying that as, like, it's different. It's not the dream team in the sense that it's not like, you know, the biggest, all of the biggest names are there, which is sort of funny in and of itself to me. That was a separate funny thing.
I think what also, I mean, it's along the same lines of what we were saying, but I think there's this part that makes it funny too, and this is going to sound like an old man thing, but I don't even think this is you could argue otherwise, but NBA players are the most coddled professional athletes in this country, are they not? Like, who's possibly, like, they're paid so much more than basically all the, like, if an NBA star is treated like, NBA star is like treated like the royal family in England, where it's like you just like are I don't know, there's like this aura about you where, like, we don't even care if you play basketball, we just want to see what fashion you're wearing into the arena, and, like, we will bow down to you and we love you, and they are the most coddled. They're the most coddled athletes. They can pick when they want to sit out. If they don't like their organizations, they demand trades. They are paid like $40 million a year. They have very, very little adversity in their lives, by and large. Like, the most adversity they get is like teenagers on Twitter calling them frauds. Like, that's it. For like the stereotypical, and so when you turn on a television and you see those guys, and like, we as fans. We watch these guys play in the NBA, and you like some guys, you don't like others. Kevin Durant's a polarizing guy. A lot of people don't like him. And then now all of a sudden you're put in a position where now I have to cheer for Kevin Durant to lead my country, and he gets stuffed by a Nigerian player. And instead of being like, this sucks for USA, I'm like, eat it, Kevin Durant. You know? Like, good. And I don't think we're alone. And if it's not Kevin Durant, it's someone, and then it's Jason Tatum, you know? Like, if you hate the Celtics and you were watching Jason Tatum all year on the Celtics, you're like, damn, I hate this guy. I hate this team. Now you have to flip and cheer for him. Same with Draymond Green. Like, there are a lot of guys like that I don't know, they're very polarizing, because that's like the nature of the NBA, is that if the guy is on your team or you like him, you like him. But if he's not, you don't like him for 1,000 different reasons. And there's, like, if you want to not like an NBA player, it's very easy to come up with reasons to not like NBA players. Is what I mean. And all these guys are now representing the United States of America, and it just messes with your brain, because you're like, I don't love all of the guys on this team, but now I have to. What? This is weird.
You also, if that's what you're gonna have to deal with, where you're like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to get behind this, even though normally I can't stand these players because they go up against my team. You want them to be like a little scrappy, or laying down the law, or like throwing elbows, or like almost playing a little dirty, where you're like, all right, I kind of respect how, not dirty, but, you know, like really going out there and not looking at the ref to call a foul. Like, you don't want that. You want to be like, come on, guys, like, it's already difficult. Don't be a little wimp out there, you know, like, come on, like, get it together. And so I think that's kind of what maybe made it easier in the 90s, when, you know, they weren't calling everything all the time. And then you've got these guys who go out there and you're like, all right, well, you know, at least they're playing that tough kind of basketball that I really hate against my team. But instead it's like, so I think that the style of play also makes it a little different. But it's this brain switch where you have to be like, okay, so you know how there's that friend in college that's like an asshole? And like, everybody agrees that this person is an asshole, but you're like, I mean, it's fine. Like, they're our asshole. Like, so, and like, you have to do that with some of the players in sports in general. But then you have to do it with a guy you normally don't like because he's just playing for your country, and it's harder to get there than if you have to do it every single day when you watch them. It's like a momentary thing. Very psychologically. I mean, sports are not good for your brain in general, and this is just like a whole other level that you kind of just have to laugh.
Can I feel like I've been piling on the players a little bit. Can I also throw Gregg Popovich into the mix? That he is a very unlikable guy as well. Like
did you see that press conference with Dame?
I did. Yeah, I did. It was. Can we
tell the people, in case the people didn't see this? This reporter asks Dame. He's like, "Hey man, you haven't been on Team USA before, and now you're on Team USA. You're used to, you watch Team USA blow everybody out, and now you're losing. What does that feel like?" And Dame gave, I thought, a pretty diplomatic answer. And I don't necessarily mean to pile on the players. I just think like the whole situation, especially because it's Team USA, just makes the whole thing kind of funny. But yeah, Dame gave a good answer. And then Pop just like rips into this guy, and he's like, "We never blew those teams out."
We've never blown anybody out.
And the reporter tries to be like, "No, but I would think maybe bringing up the 83-point win against Nigeria."
Yeah.
And Pop's like, "Are you going to let me finish? And then it'll be your turn to talk." And that goes on for a good like minute. And then he just straight up says they never lost.
They
never won by that much. And you're like,
we never
what?
Blow people out. Yeah, that's never happened.
What did you think when you saw that? What was your reaction?
It felt like he was just. I don't know. It. When I was watching it, I felt like Gregg Popovich has. My honest gut reaction is like Gregg Popovich does not want to be here. He's losing his mind. He's like to say something so patently false. I didn't know what he was like. He was just trying to gaslight everybody and like make us pretend like he's like, we've never been that good at basketball in this country. And I'm like, how could you say something so preposterously false, Charlotte? Like this is.
It's also a wild argument if you're trying to defend your team to be like, we've never been good, and you're
yeah, and
you really, it is gaslighting. You feel like you're the crazy one when you hear him say those things.
But it's gaslighting, but it's like to such a degree that it's not even kind of effective. I'm like, you just look like a madman. You just look like you're like walking down the streets like with your clothes off, just like kind of waving your arms around. Like what are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about?
Here's the thing though, Mark. I think a lot of people love Pop. Like I think he's beloved in a way that when people watch that video, they see him, they're like, good, like he gave it to that reporter. And then you're like, but did you listen?
Yes,
did you listen to what he said, though?
I agree with you. I would say that those people are dwindling, and those people's zip codes are found in Texas more and more. I would say that Gregg Popovich, when he was winning titles with Tim Duncan, and because you thought like his attitude was like kind of a fun, endearing curmudgeon,
It's like Belichick. When you're winning, you can get away with that. But no one likes him, so it's a bad analogy.
Pop always had like a dry sense of humor, and it came off as like fun, and like he's in on the joke, and he's joking guys. Like when he rolled his eyes at Doris Burke when she asked that halftime question, he didn't mean to disrespect. Like he obviously loves Doris Burke. Like we don't have to make it big, and everyone liked that. That like you would ask these coaches questions, and they were all mundane and stupid, and people were like these into first quarter interviews with the coaches serve no purpose. And then Gregg Popovich would come and do a first quarter interview, and they'd ask him, "Pop, you guys are up 7. What's going on out there?" And he's like, "We're making shots." And that's it. And what do you got to do from here? Keep making shots. Are we done? That's it? Okay. And then you walk away. And like everyone loved that because that's like, thank God you're pointing out how stupid these are. I think these are stupid. You're doing it in a funny, dry way. That was what was likable. And I think as more time goes on and Gregg Popovich does not win basketball games, both with the San Antonio Spurs and with the United States of America, and it feels like his attitude has been turned up to where we're not really sure if it's endearing and like, are you in on the joke, Pop, anymore?
That didn't seem like a joke.
No. And
that press conference.
And that's what I mean. Like that was to me that's my ultimate feeling when I was watching Popovich was like, oh, you've gone over you've I don't know, jumped the shark. You've gone to that zone. This is no longer like fun and funny. Like there's something else going on here where you're like actually mad. And I don't think I like it, Greg. No, if I'm going to be honest, Greg, I don't like it.
Do you know what it made me wonder? Is Greg going to retire?
I don't know. That's a great. I mean, he's going to retire eventually, but
like, is he in this wave of how we were talking about people that you never thought would retire, and then Coach K, and then
is he? That's a great question. I think I don't know. I've never really thought about it because I think Gregg Popovich was exalted as this great coach, and
Right.
obviously he's not a bad. I'm not saying like he's not a great coach, but like the more
That take would get us more clicks though, so maybe you should.
well, the take is becoming more and more accepted, I guess, that like he was just riding Tim Duncan's coattails, and Tim Duncan retired, and the Spurs are ass, and now Kawhi. And why did Kawhi Leonard want out of San Antonio so badly when they quote unquote had the best culture in the NBA at the time? You know, like the Spurs were forever like the Patriots of basketball, and it was like they do things differently and they have great teamwork and great culture. And then Kawhi Leonard was like, I don't want to be here. Give me the hell out of here. And then Tim Duncan retired, and now Gregg Popovich is doing nothing. So it makes you think, Charlotte. That's all I'm going to say. It makes you think.
It does, but it's also like such a, I feel like sports, like commentary comes down to the lowest common denominator, where it's like, okay, obviously to win championships is a very complex chemistry balance of all of these different things. And then we're like, well, now that this player left and this coach can't win, he's a bad coach, and this player, it's like it gets boiled down. It's like maple syrup. It gets, you get all these gets reduced to this like thick, sticky argument that everyone's like, yes, that's the one. Also, that is a terrible analogy, so we should probably move on soon. But we were talking about, when I start going to like maple syrup analogies is when I'm like, we should probably pick a new topic. But I do think that we were talking about people like Chris Paul having these, villain to hero stories. There's a whole episode we could do on like the heroes to villains, like the Gregg Popoviches and their fall from being beloved to people being like, why did we really did love him, didn't we?
Yeah, and he didn't really do anything. He's kind of been the same guy the whole time. It's not like he punched a player in practice or something that made us hate him. He's just been the same, and it's like as time passes, we just look at him through a different lens, and we're like, I don't know. I don't think I love that this guy's coaching America. I don't, but also just I think it just goes back to like winning cures everything. And what is Pop now, like 10-5, I think, as the coach since he's taken over for Coach K, I think, for Team USA, which is not good at all for Team USA. I think what we were shooting for was 15-0 in those 15 games.
10-5
not 10-5
for Team USA is objectively bad.
I'm curious about this. So you said it's funny to you that we suck at basketball, which is obviously strange place to find yourself because you're not anti-American by any stretch of the imagination. But
I am one.
Yeah. So, what is the opposite of that? What would you say if the United States basketball team, the men's basketball team, is not the team that we're all rallying around? And I think they were in '92, but then, I don't know, like people like the team, but as he said, like it's gotten to a point where like a lot of people in the country were laughing or like rolling their eyes or who cares?
Right.
If we go out and from here we win the gold medal and beat everybody by 50 points. I do think there's still a lot of people in this country who are like, who cares? That's what we're supposed to do. And it's a very bizarre attitude towards the United States men's basketball team. So my question, Charlotte, having just watched, the Euro soccer tournament and all these countries that this is their team, like Italy, that is the biggest deal in the world that Italy wins this, and England, it was the same for them. The United States men's soccer team isn't that either because we suck. So like, I don't think the country's rallying behind. Who is our team with the Olympics on the horizon? Who is the team that Americans rally behind? It's like I want them to win gold. It's not a given that we're going to win gold, and if we don't win gold, I'm going to be devastated.
I think because when you say it's not a given, I feel like with women's gymnastics, like it almost is a given because of Simone. Like, that you're getting golds because as long as she steps on the mat and does her routine, even if she doesn't hit everything perfectly, it's so much more difficult that she's going to get gold. And she's just hands down the GOAT. So it doesn't even seem in the realm of possibility that she doesn't win. So to me, it's women's soccer. Like, I don't think I will find anything at all even close to funny about women's soccer losing. Like, I am invested because they are not it's been a dynasty, but it's also, there's some other good teams out there. Like, it's not, it is possible that they don't win, especially after the COVID year where they don't have the same momentum coming off of that World Cup win, that I'm just sort of like, that won't be funny. Like, I will not be laughing
This is not. You're gonna be yelling at everyone. This is not
Yeah,
funny, you guys.
I'm gonna be England soccer team fans if the
Yeah.
U.S. doesn't win.
I'm with you. I follow. I think I guess I'm just an arrogant American, and I think our women's soccer team is going to wreck everybody. So I don't know if that's the answer.
I mean,
for me.
I hope so, but I think there's more of a chance. Like that's one that I will be watching. They probably will, but I'm like, it won't be funny if they don't.
Yeah.
So what's your
that's
answer?
a good answer because like I don't know we've just been so good like the last stretch of women's soccer. Like the last 10 years or so. But I remember like I remember that game against Brazil. Was that the Women's World Cup or where we scored a late, like Abby Wambach with a late header? And I was watching that like freaking out. I feel like that was like 10 years ago.
There are two things that I get that I freak out over more than any other sport. And it's women's soccer and the home run derby, which we will get to.
We're going to talk about that.
But those two things, I'm like the gif with the little girl with the cotton candy being like, like I really feel it. So anyway, but what's your answer?
Yeah, I was just going to say that like, I think 10 years ago I was with you with the women's soccer, but like I've watched us destroy everybody for so long that I don't like, I'm now arrogant about it. I'm like, we're going to wreck everybody. We wreck everybody and everything. Women's soccer. Women's gymnastics, I'm with you. I always worry about like the Russians and the Chinese with women's gymnastics. I know nothing about their teams.
What are you, like a history teacher in 1955?
Yeah, yes.
I always worry about the Russians.
I know nothing about their teams, but
Those communists.
The Chinese and the Russians are up to something when it comes to women's gymnastics.
They're stealing our intellectual property.
They got something brewing. So I got a couple. I don't know. I don't know the landscape of this, how much like we're heavy favorites or not, but this is where I'm at going into the Olympics. The two teams, something with swimming, a relay with swimming. I got to figure that out. I think it's like
Katie Ledecky. Are you worried about Katie Ledecky?
No. I don't worry about individuals. I'm talking about teams, Charlotte. I'm talking about wearing the USA as a team. Like we're better, we're a better country than you.
The 4x100.
I was going to say the 4x100 track is that is a big one. If we can beat Jamaica, I don't know if we're supposed to beat Jamaica or not, but if we beat Jamaica, I'm losing my mind. That is one. And if we don't beat Jamaica, I'm pissed off, and I'm like, we got to figure this out. And I don't know who else. Is anyone else gonna? I don't know.
We're basing our Olympic. I'm just laughing because we're basing our Olympic knowledge off of like 5 years ago, and we're like, I vaguely remember.
Oh, this isn't 5 years ago. Like we're America, baby. The 4x100 men's sprint. Like that's like I don't care who it. Like if it's. I don't care who it is. If it's me and three of my buddies out there, I'm expecting us to win gold.
Okay, you gotta adjust those expectations.
Every time. And then something with swimming. It probably is I don't know what the event would be. Is it just the freestyle? Like the what was the one that we beat France that one year where Phelps kept his,
Oh yeah. I want to say, I don't know, Mark. I'm going to be honest. It's like everything I know about the Olympics goes away before the Olympics start, and then they start, and I know everything about every event as I'm watching it. I'm like, oh, well, this is the one, but I have to jog my memory, and I have to see it before I actually know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I think lock me in on my answer being the 4x100 sprint relay race.
Okay.
For track. And then the women's gymnastics team. I think those are the two teams that like I'm going to watch everything in the Olympics. And if we don't win gold, I'm going to be devastated. But also, I don't think it's necessarily a given that we're going to win gold. That's where I'm at with that.
The whole women's team in gymnastics. Yeah,
like the whole women's team, like the whole team, not Simone. Yeah. Like Simone's going to win 1 million golds. I'm talking like the whole team's on the podium. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I hope you're right about the women's soccer. I hope to God you're right that I shouldn't even be a little bit worried about it. But I don't think I'm going to find any of that funny.
No, I wouldn't find it funny.
Right.
No. I don't think
it's weird. Is it weird that I think it's funny that men's basketball, like, do you think most people are just pissed that men's basketball is losing?
No, I think it's fine to be. I think it's fine because again, it's like these guys are like, what's the worst that if we don't win gold, it doesn't mean that like we're not a great at basketball. We're not a great basketball country. It doesn't mean that you know it really doesn't mean anything other than like these guys are losers that were on the team and they didn't win the gold medal they thought they were going to win when they signed up for this. That's all it really means. So I think that's what a lot of us in this country like. It does. It's not It's not an indictment on basketball culture in America.
The stakes aren't that high.
Yes, for the culture of America, which is like ultimately what I think a lot of us watch the Olympics for, is to be like, we're better. I feel like I live in the best country on earth. Now go show me. Now go prove it, Simone. Go prove it. And when and we don't get that with the U.S. basketball team, because if they lose, we're like, that says more about you guys than us. Moving on, let's talk about baseball. And the All-Star game happened this week. I think this is what we really want to talk about, right, Charlotte?
There you go. Yeah. Damn it, I'm bright red.
Can we talk about the home run derby first, which happened before the All-Star game? Pete Alonso
Please.
wins his second back-to-back home run derbies, even though they happened because there wasn't one last year. So there's like a 2019, 2021, but it's still back-to-back. He is the home run derby champion. In large part, we got to say, who was this pitcher? Dave Joust? Was that how you say his name? That was just throwing meatballs, dude. That guy was unbelievable. Just putting him on a tee for him. And I think, I'm not saying that Pete Alonso didn't deserve to win. I'm just saying I think Dave Joust deserves some sort of trophy, right?
Well, it sort of feels like it should be a team. It should be a two-person sport. Like if you should get a trophy as the pitcher. Because there were a few times that the guy lobbing the balls really screwed up and like cost one of the hitters a home run.
Yes. Also, I'm curious what your thoughts are on the format. The format used to be way back in the day. You get 10 outs, I want to say, and you get 10 hacks at it, and 10 instances of not hitting a home run, and then you're done. And we count up your home runs. It is now time. They've been doing this for a little while now. And I felt like people are split on it because on the one hand, it's hard to watch the ball. Like it's just one after another. So a guy hits a moonshot and you're trying to like watch it, but then the next pitch is coming in. And I remember back in the day, like Mark McGwire just mashing the hell out of the ball, and then you just sit there and watch it, and he just sits there and poses and watch it, and like that's kind of what we're after. But the good part was, Charlotte, we had a lot of instances where like a guy needed 2 home runs to tie or like take the lead, and there's 15 seconds. And can he do it? Can he do it?
That's right. I know.
Yeah,
and you're like, the tension. I love the home run derby because the whole point of baseball is the buildup of tension. And the whole point of baseball is like you can wait through 9 innings and no one's gotten a hit. But then if someone gets that hit, like you have earned that hit. And the home run derby is like that on steroids, which is probably a bad analogy when talking about baseball. But it is
literally on steroids.
Like, the stakes feels like the most important thing in the world when you're watching it. You're like, I need all of the home runs. And if Ohtani doesn't tie Juan Soto for home runs, I am going to freak out, which I did. I did freak out. But, like you see the counter go up, and I don't know, Mark. I'm kind of with you in that I would get annoyed when he hits one and you're trying to see if that was a home run, but you're also trying to watch him hit the next one.
Yeah.
So at the same time, though, that timing really does get your heart racing.
Yes.
I think you don't need that, though, because something that was a little bullshit about this, excuse my French, is that if you hit a 475-foot yard home run.
475-foot yard home run. Yes, go on, continue. We all know exactly what you mean.
Now I don't know what it is. Is it feet or yard? It's feet. Yards would be a mile.
Would be
like a third of a mile long.
Can you imagine hitting 475 yards?
That's literally how many feet is a mile? Like 5,000 something?
Math with Charlotte. Here we go.
Charlotte explains math. All right. If you hit a 475...
If you hit a golf ball 475 yards, I'm pretty sure that might be a world record.
I just sometimes hear myself talk and cannot believe I have a job. Anyway, okay, so if you hit 475-foot home run, you get an extra minute tacked on. but I felt like every guy just got an extra minute.
Right.
And it was like baseball giving them more of a chance to tie the other guy to keep it closer. And that sort of brings me to my general point about All-Star Weekend, which is that I think baseball treats All-Star Weekend as this. It's like their, dad's weekend in Vegas, where they're like, I'm the cool dad, or like, I'm the cool mom. And you go out and you try to prove to everyone that you're still young and hip and cool, and you're trying a little too hard. And I think that baseball, the narrative is that it's not fun, or the narrative is that we need to get more kids involved to watch, or that, it's dying, or whatever it is. I don't think that's true anymore. I think that was a talking point like 5 years ago that we have kind of stuck with. Because if you look up there, you've got Fernando Tatis Jr., Ronald Acuna Jr. before he hurt his ACL. You've got, there are a lot of juniors, by the way, but you've got Ohtani. You've got all these young, exciting players who are so much fun. And you're like, I don't think baseball has ever been more young or more fun, yet we're still like tacking on an extra minute.
Yeah.
And with that said, I never want it to stop. It's incredibly endearing to me. It's just like adorable how hard baseball tries on All-Star Weekend.
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to think of where to go with this. So first of all, the bonus thing, I'm with you. If everyone gets a bonus, does anybody really get a bonus? Is the question.
Which is sort of how the whole weekend feels, which is why that's where I went. But if it like
to your point about baseball being fun, because that is all of the God, it feels like the last 10, 15 years, like basically since all the guys that were on steroids stopped playing, like that's like what happened to baseball? Why is it not as fun? That's all I want. Is baseball dying? Yeah. I think all of that is an overreaction to the social media age of looking at like baseball highlights, and they don't get as many retweets as a guy dunking on someone gets. That must mean that the youth don't love baseball, which must mean that fast forward 50 years and all these 12-year-olds that are on Twitter right now that don't love baseball, they're going to be 62 in 50 years, Charlotte, and they're still not going to watch baseball. And oh my God, in 50 years will baseball even be around? And I think like people just went crazy with that extrapolation. And I don't think baseball's really changed. Like I have never stopped watching baseball my whole life. I've watched the same amount of baseball now as I did when I was a kid. Like I love baseball. If it's on, I watch it. If it's not, I don't. Like I never really thought, wow, this sport feels like it's dying. It's baseball. Like it's called America's pastime for a reason, because it's less a sport to the culture of America. It's less like something that we an event, like we're all going to the baseball game, and it's a pastime. It's like something that just kind of exists as we're living, Yes. It's just kind of exists in the background. It's a great thing to throw on the television as you're taking a nap, and you sleep through innings 3 through 6, and then you wake up and you watch the end, or you're mowing your grass and you put the game on the radio and you hear a little bit and you're like, I have no idea what the score is, but it's just kind of, like that's what baseball is.
Even hearing you describe this fills me with such a deep sense of comfort and warmth.
Yes. And my point is that baseball has never stopped being that. It's that like the culture around sports has shifted to where we got caught believing that like whatever can get the most whatever 8-second clip can get the most retweets is what people is like where the future of sports are going. And it's not. And I guess like my ultimate point is like young people probably don't like baseball as much as they like the NBA or like soccer or like foot, whatever. But guess what happens to young people, Charlotte? They get older. They grow up.
No.
They grow up. And I believe that baseball, like, you probably fall into it. There's going to be a time where like people that are 12 that like love like TikTok and I don't know, I'm gonna sound old, Twitch and whatever the hell bullshit like 12-year-olds are into. There's gonna be a time, Charlotte, where they're gonna grow up and they'll be like, all right, I'm kind of over that. I want something else. And then guess what's gonna be there waiting for them? Baseball. And baseball has always been fun. But to your point, yeah, like there are a lot of young guys. I do think that like there is definitely a shift happening within the sport where if you are still arguing that is not exciting, it is not fun, you're an idiot. And you're not paying attention, because there's so many awesome stars, so many great stories. Ohtani is certainly like the biggest one, but I don't know. That was my takeaway from All-Star Weekend. I was like, yeah, this is very, very fun to watch these guys.
Yes, it is. And I think also though, like there's also this idea that people, what you were saying, like 12-year-olds don't want clips of baseball. First of all, if you have a clip of someone just smashing a home run out of the Ohtani clips go viral. That is it's not even, it's sort of proving it either was that way and now it's swinging back, or it wasn't ever quite as bad as people thought it was. I think we are also baseball defenders. I do know people who are like, I can't watch a whole baseball game. And I'm like, I still think
those people will be back. I don't think they're they think in their heads they're like, I'm done with baseball. It's kind of boring. And it's like, oh, that's fine. Be done with baseball will continue. It'll go on.
It's going to be waiting for you.
It. It's your hometown. Baseball is your hometown. It's like you can go move out and find yourself. But guess what? You're always going to be pulled back home, Charlotte. And you're always going to, you're going to have kids someday. And you're going to be like, I thought baseball was boring. And I just wanted to go to the bars and, hang out with the boys and, do fun stuff. And I don't have time to be spending 3 hours every day watching baseball. I don't want all that stuff. And then you're going to look up when you're 46 and you got a 7-year-old son and you're playing catch with him. And guess what? All of a sudden you're watching a ton of baseball again and you're back in. And it goes round and round and round. And that's how it works.
Left.
And it never left. It was always there all along.
That sounded like a Taylor Swift song off of Folklore or something. That was as close as you've gotten to songwriting. I mean, I do think, though, we're going to have our colleague Ben Verlander, who we've talked about many times on the show, who was on the show when you couldn't be on the show.
That's right.
And, we've poked fun at him in the most endearing, loving way behind his back. And so it's time that he come on the show and rub it in our faces that he met Shohei Ohtani at the All-Star game. But I think that he is almost the best example of kids still being into baseball, because Ben is very good at Twitch. I do not understand what Twitch fully is. I have an idea of it. I'm going to ask him to just explain it to me when he comes on. But Twitch, I hear, is where the young people hang out, and Ben is popular on it, and a lot of teenagers follow him. So, I think people, and he was a baseball player. He played, until he came here, basically. And so I think that there's more of a market for baseball among the youths, if I may be so bold as to say that based on my colleagues' social media followers.
Are you making the argument that Ben Verlander has saved baseball single-handedly?
Yes, I am. He has. Kevin Durant ruined basketball. Steph Curry saved basketball. God. Yes. And now Ben Verlander is saving baseball after the media ruined baseball.
After guys on steroids that then had to testify in front of Congress ruined baseball.
I loved the steroid era, though. I'm going to be honest.
That's the problem. Is everybody kind of loved it?
Hit some dingers.
Hit some dingers.
Chicks dig the long ball.
Chicks dig the long ball.
Yes.
They always have, Charlotte.
They always have. They always have. They always will. I don't know.
Speaking of that, I want to go back to the home run derby briefly and just say that I think Pete Alonso, he's won 2 of these things. He deserves all the credit in the world for being awesome at home run derbies and everything. But it is undeniable how great his pitcher was. And I guess my format tweak, Charlotte, would be you should have a pitcher from your team pitch to you. Right? Should Jacob deGrom be throwing pitches?
Oh.
So it is some sort of a team deal.
That's interesting.
Because would Ohtani, if Dave Joust was throwing pitches to Ohtani, does Ohtani win? I don't know. Because Ohtani was getting horrible pitches. He was yelling at his pitcher, throw him up higher. What are you doing? And I found that funny, too, because, if you're Shohei Ohtani, who's also an all-star caliber pitcher.
I mean, I can't even. This guy's.
You're probably yelling at you're probably like, dude, how hard is it? Just throw the ball right here. I literally do it all the time. Just throw it right.
Yes.
How hard is it, dude? Oh man.
I mean, either that or what if the same guy has to lob up the meatballs to every player?
Everybody. Or pitching machine. You know what they're gonna do?
A pitching machine.
I'm fast forward 5 years. Whoever the biggest TikTok star is going to come out. There's going to be a pitching machine, and the TikTok star is going to put the balls into the machine, and MLB is going to be like, "Oh my God, we're trending on TikTok. We did it, everybody." And then someone's going to come to the office.
Laughing, but I'm really
someone's going to come into the office and be like, "Yeah, but how are the television ratings?" And they're going to say, "Get the hell out! Get out!"
They're going to say, "We're huge on the internet." God, you're so right. That's so going to happen. Ugh. Cut this, play the, you know how we did a brief rundown of every possible NBA scenario so that we could tweet it out and be right? This is just fact. Schedule that clip on Twitter for 5 years from now, and Mark's going to be right.
Yeah. Who are people? What is the Addison Rae? Is she somebody? I saw she was
Yeah,
She was something with
I
UFC.
recently just like find all these people, and I looked at their Instagrams and their they have. Dude,
Yeah, sure, here we go.
I looked at Charlie D'Amelio's Instagram account last night. She has
Okay.
43 million Instagram followers.
No way. No,
Shut
get her
up.
on the show. Get her on the
That's so
show.
many-
We'll talk.
That's so many followers, and I'm like, what do you even do? And then I get sucked into watching your dance videos for 2 hours, and I'm like, oh, I guess that's what you do. And I just proved my point. But I have a question for you about the home run derby, which
Yeah.
is apparently our amazing stats guy Daniel Gerber found that hitters can go into a slump after the home run derby. That
Yes.
this is statistically proven is a thing that can happen and often does. I was watching Ohtani up there, for example, and I kept being like, is this good for him? Like his swing looked a little pained at times.
Yeah.
He would put his hands on his knees afterwards and was breathing very heavy. And I was like, can someone get this guy like an oxygen tank or something? Like, what are we doing here? Because I feel like we should protect him at all costs. At the same time, I don't ever want to see him stop doing the home run derby. So, and
Charlotte,
he said that he doesn't take batting practice. Did you see him say that?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm like, well, clearly he doesn't do this regularly. So have we ruined Ohtani for a weekend in Vegas?
In retrospect, it should have been obvious that Ohtani was not going to be great at the home run derby in that he doesn't do batting practice. So like that whole format is something that he's not accustomed to doing.
Right.
But are you? I hear what you're saying, but that just feels a little too much like the NBA load management situation, and we don't need that.
Yeah,
in
no,
baseball.
I'm like here. Okay, two things can be true at once, Mark.
Okay.
I can be worried about my large adult sons in sports, and also want them to keep entertaining me forever.
It sounds to me like you don't want anybody to ever play sports, Charlotte.
Well,
Like,
I don't.
You don't
If
want
I have kids, they're never playing sports, Mark. They're going to be
wrap them in
artists.
bubble wrap. And,
Yes. I'm going to put them in bubble wrap and store them in the closet.
I agree with the sentiment, and I guess the stats back it up that it can ruin your swing is the idea, because you spend so much energy and time and effort trying to like perfect your home run swing that you forget that there's more to baseball than home runs, and then the idea is like you come out of the home run derby, and now when you go back to regular games, you're just trying to like mash home runs
Right.
like you were on the derby. But to that I say, who cares?
I just had a
That's-
funny thought, though. What if you did a singles derby? Or like a doubles derby.
A doubles derby?
You just had to hit
You had to run?
a double and run.
You put like 1,000 5-year-old kids out there.
Yes.
And you hit the ball, and you have to like, that's the real home run derby. You have to make it home before like the kids throw the ball. But I mean, 5-year-olds are way too young. Like maybe 12 years old.
12.
The Little League, whoever won the Little League World Series last year,
Yes.
that team.
Also, hear me out. Instead of the All-Star game, it's a wiffle ball game. Like it's the All-Stars,
good
but
idea.
they're playing wiffle
They're
ball.
playing wiffle ball.
Because that's
Okay.
not messing up anyone's swing. You're less likely to get hurt.
I don't know. I think that might mess up even more. I feel like that might mess it up even more.
But it would be. I would watch the shit out of baseball players playing wiffle ball.
I would too. I think I love the idea of the Little League World Series champion, and all the way down to the pitcher. That's your home run derby pitcher. Whoever was like the
There you
pitcher
go.
from the Little League team.
You fixed it.
He's trying to strike out Shohei Ohtani, and then Shohei Ohtani accidentally lines it back to his face, and
I know. Well, he'd
And-
wear a cage.
and the kid
protect
dies,
him.
and we all say whoops. They say whose idea was
Dark.
this, and then I just like take off running. I'm like, "Whoop."
Mark just like leaves the frame.
Oh man, should we talk to Ben? Should we have
Yeah.
Ben on to talk about his All-Star experience?
I think
he was
we
in
need
Denver.
to.
We got to talk to him about.
He met
Ohtani,
our large baseball king.
yeah. So we'll get Ben Verlander on, talk to him about what the hell was going on in Denver this week. Joining us fresh off the plane from Denver, Colorado, where he was I doing a lot of stuff. I mean, every time I got online, I saw Ben Verlander's face. But I think the most notable thing he was doing was trying to find Shohei Ohtani. His name is Ben Verlander. He is our colleague here at Fox Sports. He is a baseball expert, and he is a man that is joining us to talk about the All-Star game and his experience. First of all, Ben, you have become I have the bone to pick with you. We talked about this I think last week on the show. That you have become the face of Shohei Ohtani fan club. That is like a brand that you have taken and run with. I feel like I deserve some sort of kickback. I don't know what the kickback is, but I vividly remember playing disc golf with you and making the argument that Shohei Ohtani is the greatest thing that's ever happened to baseball. And you laughed at me and you said Mike Trout is actually the better player on the team. And I don't know. How do you remember this story, Ben? What happened there?
I'm starting to realize that me coming on has nothing to do with me just getting off the plane and my All-Star game experience. And it has everything to do with what you said last week and just wanting to have me on so I could answer you face to face. And
well, I wanted your side of the story. I wanted you to have the opportunity to refute my story here, Ben.
Hold on. Before Ben refutes Mark, I want the record to show that I am interested in Ben's All-Star experience. Ben,
yeah, we're going to talk about it. We just wanted to, yeah.
So
I'm like, don't put me under this bus.
What I would say is what transpired that day out on the disc golf course was that I continued to say, look, Ohtani is great. Mike Trout is the best player on the planet, but Ohtani is incredible. And this is where it gets tricky. I don't know if I believe that anymore. I honestly think, and I don't want to just like throw a name around here, but I was with Frank Thomas last night and we were talking about this. And I said, if you were running the team, who do you want right now? And he said Shohei Ohtani. And I said the same thing. And I don't know if I would have said that 2 months. Well, clearly I didn't say that 2 months ago. I think it's changed.
I respect that. I think that is a very mature thing to be able to take in new information and change your opinion based on that information.
Well, there needs to be two of us.
Based on
there needs to be two
having...
mature ones here, Charlotte. So I'm glad you're here.
I like the idea of baseball punditry becoming more like basketball, where you can't just like sit there and watch two guys be great on the same team. We have to figure out who's the alpha. We have to figure out like where the hierarchy of these guys is. You can't just be like, oh, they're both pretty good and they both do different stuff and that's pretty cool that they're on the same team. It's like, no. When the game's on the line and we need a base hit, who do we want, you know?
Absolutely. And I feel like Trout being out hasn't helped him. Like Ohtani has taken over the world all while Mike Trout has been sitting on the sidelines hurt. So that definitely doesn't like help. Like nobody's talking about him anymore.
To that point, talk about Ohtani taking over the world. Let's talk about your All-Star experience because you were on a quest to meet Shohei Ohtani. You love the man. You're a huge fan of everything he does, obviously. Did you get the sense, outside of your own little love for Ohtani, did you get the sense, being boots on the ground in Denver, that everyone was sharing the same sentiment that you had, that like if there was one guy that has everyone's attention and all eyeballs are on this one person here at the All-Star game, was it Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, there definitely was a feel of like he's the one. He's like the ultimate guy we need to get. And I remember after it happened and I did meet him and then we came out with the video that night of the entire quest. The next day when I was down on the field, I had people like coming up being like, congratulations, like that's incredible. I'm really happy for you. Like, how was it? And like, he is the one person of everybody. And I said it yesterday. I was out on the red carpet before the All-Star game and I got Tatis, who is like the biggest star in baseball. And I ended up talking to Ohtani after. And I was like, I just talked to the coolest guy in the world, and he was the second best interview I got today. Like Tatis before the season, he would have been like the guy, and then at this point, it's like he holds it's a different level. Like Tatis is the baseball guy, and Ohtani right now is like the guy in the world that you want to talk to. It's crazy.
Well, to that point, you don't have to mention names and talk about like Tatis's feelings on it, but just I'm curious what the vibe you got from all the other players is about Ohtani, because I imagine they got asked about him a lot, and a lot of these guys are like in a position where this is like the pinnacle of their lives, and some of them I don't know how many first-time All-Stars there were or whatever, but like Tatis is a star. He's a legend. He's on pace to be a Hall of Fame baseball player, and I'm sure at some point someone was like, "Hey man, Shohei Ohtani, how good is he?" And did you get a sense that these guys were like, "This is annoying that everyone's talking about Ohtani. Why aren't they talking about all the rest of us?" Or do they appreciate him as much as you do?
Well, first off, I was that guy, and I didn't want to be, so I would preface it with a few questions before, like, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. But it always ended with, talk to me about Shohei Ohtani. And the one other Angels guy that was there was he was a first-time All-Star, Jared Walsh. And my question for him was, I want a quest to meet Shohei Ohtani. How do I complete it? Like, what do I need to know to help me get in with him? And his answer was actually that he's obsessed with Clash of Clans, and just to talk to him about that. But to answer your question, yes, like everybody that I heard, media days, this crazy, like everybody's like in this, it's almost like it's like dating roulette. Like they're all sitting right next to each other and all these people are coming up to him. And I could hear like everybody is asking about Ohtani, and like all of these players want to talk about him. Like they're equally as enamored with him as we are. They're all like, I can't really explain what's going on. I'm really happy to be here to meet him. And one story I will share was from JD Martinez. And he said, I walked up to him and I hadn't met him before. And I said, hey, I'm JD Martinez. It's nice to meet you, Babe Ruth. And I'm like, yeah, like that's how I feel.
Ben, I have two questions for you. First of all, were you starstruck meeting Ohtani? Because I can see after such a buildup, even if you might not normally have been, after talking about him so much, your tweets are translated into Japanese, for crying out loud, which Mark tried and it didn't go so well, but we'll forgive him. With this buildup over the past few months in which his star has risen, were you nervous at all? Like, were you sort of like, what am I going to say? Like, how did it go in your head before you got there, and then once you got there?
I think the craziest part is I never would have been. But I've made this such a thing now that so many people are like watching and rooting for me that it's less like me being starstruck and more like, I can't screw this moment up. Like, what if I do? Like, I know this is going to be the moment. Like, I've gotten in now with the PR people for the Angels, and the moment it happened, they actually sought me out, and because I was kind of near him, and they like called me over. And when he got off the MLB Network set, they called him over to me. And as I was walking over there, I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the moment that the quest is ending here. I have to do this right. So like, I normally would have been fine, like meeting him and talking to him, but I finished the whole situation, shook his hand, walking over. I'm like, I hope I don't like miss the handshake. Like, what if I like accidentally like go for like an awkward handshake? I'm like, I can't do that here. That it would ruin the entire moment. So that was more where the nerves were coming from. Like, just don't screw this up.
Oh my
God. It was your moment. And I think, do you think this is something that Mark and I were talking about before you got him? My other really important question for you. We've got so many fun guys in baseball right now, so many young people. And I used your social media as an example that maybe baseball isn't in trouble the way some people think it is with the youths. Because you're on Twitch, which I've heard is where the young people hang out, and you're a baseball guy, and there must be some sort of Venn diagram of people who are young on social media and who also still like baseball. Can you tell us what the landscape is?
A Venn diagram.
What are the kids up to, Ben?
Well, first off,
I'm on Char, and this has been Explain Twitch to me.
First off, I'm almost 30 years old. I don't know if that's still considered part of the young kids, but I would definitely say it's two like demographics, and this is why I feel baseball is okay and in a really good place, because you look at the way it had been talked about for so long, and it was stale and it wasn't good. But you start looking at it on Twitter and the way I think what it took was younger people talking about the game of baseball and actually having a passion for it. And that's the one thing that, I hear often from people is like, you can just tell you're passionate and you care. And I think that's really all it comes down to, is just having enough people around the game that care. And I think I think we're starting to see more people like that. And I know when I am on Twitch and talking to people about it, that, that's a much younger audience. Like, the people in Twitch streams are anywhere from, it can be anywhere from like 13 to 50, but I would say the majority of them are in that teenage, low 20 age range. And you can just tell how excited they are to for the game and for all of these young players coming about. And I think all it really takes is just people talking about the game that make other people want to watch. And you know, people have said, I didn't even know I needed to watch Ohtani until I saw your tweets. And I think that's what it takes, is just people caring. And I think for far too long, we didn't have people really caring about the game of baseball. We had people talking about the game of baseball, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I also think it's funny to hear like baseball talked about like it's a niche sport, or I mean, I deal with this too as like a guy that loves college basketball, and I get told that I cover a niche sport. And I think like ultimately, other than the NFL, it feels like every sport's kind of a niche sport, right? Like, is there really? I never understood like why we spend so much time as sports fans like trying to do the hierarchy of like, all right, where does baseball used to be number 2 behind football? Now it's sliding. Is it behind NBA? Who cares? Baseball is awesome. It's always been awesome. We were talking before you came on, as Charlotte said, about all the young guys and how fun the All-Star game was, and there does feel like there's like a sense of excitement around it all that maybe there hasn't been in the last few years. What was your big takeaway? Was it like that there's a youth movement outside of Ohtani? What was the biggest non-Ohtani All-Star takeaway for you in terms of like the macro picture of what MLB is right now?
Just the buzz around certain players. You know, I've been fortunate enough to go to a bunch before as a fan and as a family member. And, you know, what you get a lot of times at All-Star games is teams cheering for the player that represents their team. And then if something really cool happens, they'll cheer. But last night there's just a different vibe, you know, like to have when Vladimir Guerrero walked up to the plate, like everyone's cheering for him, and Tatis is leading off the game. And I know you told me to not mention Ohtani in this statement, but you know I can't do that. And to have Ohtani facing Tatis to start the game, like having that battle, like people were on their feet watching this, and that never really happened before. We're getting things that, you know, that people are really passionate about and want to care about, and they're wearing jerseys of this obscure team that has no dog in the fight, and they're on pins and needles watching like, oh my God, this is incredible. And I think that's new. We didn't have that before.
What wasn't new was the American League winning the All-Star game. And as a guy who's a huge fan of the National League, because I am a Cubs fan, and I think the National League is really the only baseball league in Major League Baseball, and the American League is more of like an exhibition that goes on with the DH. The garbage that is the DH.
Mark. I swear to God.
Ben, this is just a coincidence, right? Like that the National League loses this every single year. Is it that the National League plays the National League isn't good at exhibitions and the American League is, and that's why they win? Like, what's going on here, Ben?
No. Well, we're going to reframe that question. Ben, will the National League ever win an All-Star game again?
Well, so first, I don't know how you can claim to be the superior league when I've been alive since 1992, and I'm not sure the National League has won a single time.
Because it's not baseball. It's something else. It's like National League is pure baseball. It's just baseball, baby. We don't need all the theatrics and the DH. What is the DH?
You are coming off like
I love the DH.
You're a real get off my lawn kind of guy right now, and that's not you, Mark.
I want to see more sacrifice bunts in the All-Star game. I do. That's what I want to see, Ben.
Can this end already?
Yeah, Ben, we'll let you go. One last question. Is there anything, a behind-the-scenes story or anything that you haven't put out there that you need to tell us right now for clicks?
Oh, this is tough. I was putting pretty much everything out there. Let's see.
Or one last takeaway.
I got it. Here's an idea, Charlotte. I've noticed that Ben, by doing the Japanese subtitles, genius move by you, but you become a star in Japan. Every time I see you tweet about Shohei Ohtani, I click in your replies, and it's Japanese people tweeting Japanese to you. Like, love you, Ben. Thanks for all that. We are now going to take that from you, and we want that. We want that. We want the residual of that. So can we for like 2 seconds just talk about Ohtani and do it in a way where all the Japanese people that see this on Twitter will then like love Charlotte and I?
So what you want is for this segment right here to involve Shohei Ohtani, So you can tweet it out, and then you'll tag me, and I'll retweet it. And then next thing you know, you're responding in all Japanese, but it'll be incorrect, like it was earlier.
It'll be incorrect. Yes. Like, I'll do my best. Yeah, and then we'll tweet it out with like a Japanese thing too, and we'll get. So you ready? We should do that, Charlotte. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
I'm ready.
You know, Ben, I gotta say, I think one of the coolest things about the rise of Ohtani for me is that he is from Japan, because like I went to Japan in 2014, and when I was there, I was blown away. Obviously, the culture is cool. The food is great. Can't say enough great things about that. But the one thing I took away from my trip to Japan was the people. The people were awesome, and I felt like the Japanese people are awesome, and the fact that they have, as a country, a man of Shohei Ohtani's talent and stature and the way he carries himself coming from that country, it makes a lot of sense to me as a guy that's been there and enjoyed myself when I was there.
Yeah,
I just want to hop in, Ben, and say real quick that as someone who has not been there, it is my #1 travel destination. I am bummed not to be in Tokyo right now. I think Ohtani is the greatest player who is on the field at this time, and maybe ever. So, I just wanted to say that as someone who hasn't been there but would love to go.
Yeah, I remember, Mark, when we were playing disc golf a few months ago, and you said you didn't really love Japan and thought,
No, cut the video.
So yeah, I've always been big on Shohei Ohtani, as you know, and I love you having me on here to talk about him. Yeah.
Final Ohtani question, Ben. Shohei Ohtani on the mound. Shohei Ohtani is in the box. What happens? He's pitching to himself. What happens?
I think he gets a hit. I think if he had to pick one to be better at, I think he's a better hitter, to be honest with you. But that's what I think. That's what I think would happen. Yeah,
he gets a hit, but one thing he definitely doesn't do is lay down a sacrifice bunt, Charlotte, because he's a American League.
Because nobody wants bunts, Mark. Nobody. I will say
His name is Ben Verlander.
I will say this: the vibe there, even during the home run derby, was something that I've never experienced before. It was different, and when he would come up. The whole play, like I had people next to me on the concourse because I was trying to get in a position to catch a home run of his. I had people next to me, like I have chills right now as he's walking up to the plate. So, there's been a lot of talk from, people about who the face of baseball is. And I think he has put himself in a position to take it over in this crazy short amount of time. The whole stadium was literally like in awe of this guy. He's not like a baseball icon. He's becoming like a worldwide like superstar, and it is awesome to see. And it's an experience.
Do you think like that part of it is sustainable in the sense that like do you think fast forward 8 years and Ohtani's still playing in the majors? Are people still going to be? Is this just this moment in time? Because it feels like it's like, I don't know, the Beatles farewell tour or something. It's like, we're never going to see this guy again. And it's like, we're going to see this guy again. He's going to be back here at the next All-Star game, pitching and hitting. So is it like just there's a novelty to? Do you think the novelty will ever wear off? Is my question, because I hope it doesn't. I hope it's cool forever, but I'm worried that it might wear off.
My worry would be like, I don't know how, we've never seen this before. Like off the top of my head. Like I'm worried he's going to get like burnt out, and by the end of the year he's not going to be the same player. So that's. Yeah. But I do think if he's able to be the guy he was in the first half, or any shell of that for the rest of his career, I don't think it wears off. I think he's changing the game of baseball right in front of our eyes, and who it's viewed by and who cares about it, even in this country, like who watches it. I think he's changing baseball in front of our eyes, and I don't think that wears off unless something happens with the trajectory of his career, which I hope it doesn't.
Knock on wood.
Well, there you go. The Shohei Ohtani expert himself has spoken.
I would also like to go on the record before I get off of saying that Mark was correct when we were playing disc golf. I would like to say this and own up to it. When we were playing disc golf, I was saying that Mike Trout is the best player and that Shohei Ohtani is the second best player. And Mark, trolling me, continued to say,
trolling.
The best player. But you ended up being correct.
Yeah.
So.
That's the beauty of it all. It's like it was the equivalent of like arguing with someone that Anthony Davis is better than LeBron on the Lakers, and I knew it like wasn't true, but it was close enough that the other guy would think I was serious, and that's what I was doing to you. But then I ended up being actually right. I'm gonna take the W. Ben, thanks so much for joining us, man. We appreciate it. Come back next time Ohtani does something awesome, which will probably be next week, honestly. But
All right, see you next week.
Yeah, we
appreciate
love
making time
having
for us.
you, Ben.
All
Open
right.
invite.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Always love talking to Ben. I love that there's this brotherly rivalry between the two of you that's really blossoming
Yeah.
into something that I get to sit here and watch, and that you're both two athletes, and I get to sit here and pretend that I am also an athlete.
Well, the brotherly rivalry part comes from we both have older brothers who we're both younger. My brother is not a major league pitcher, unfortunately for me. But
He's not married to Kate.
he's not. My brother is not, as it turns out. I love my sister-in-law just the same as Ben probably loves his. But no, we maybe there's that to it, Charlotte. Is that we're both younger brothers and we both
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. You're
it,
both
maybe.
like annoying little. No,
I don't
I'm
know.
kidding. I don't think either of you are annoying.
The reason, I mean, I said it to Ben, but like it is just hysterical to me that I just was trolling. I turned to Buck, our boss, and when we were out on the disc, and I was like, I want to troll Ben. Like, what's something you think I could troll him with? And he's like, what about Ohtani? I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Like, I just pretend like Ohtani's much better than Trout. And then fast forward to now, and here we are.
That is
about
a
that?
little brother thing. I mean,
How about
also
that?
the reason that I'm so gullible that I believe everything you say, even when you're joking, is that I'm an only child. So I didn't have anyone to
You didn't
continually.
have,
Yeah.
And speaking of gullible, just for all the listeners, I've never been to Japan, and Charlotte thought I had when I was going on my.
Yeah,
I was talking about visiting Japan in 2015, whatever I said.
you said you went in 2014, and I was like, huh,
2014,
weird,
yeah.
but okay. I feel like I would have heard about that, and I believed it. And then
Never been.
yeah. Anyway, so a little salty, but we're gonna be fine.
What else is there? I think that's it. I mean, we had a list prepared to do, but we're not going to do it. The show's running long, and it's pretty stupid anyway. We might put it out nonetheless.
We'll
We
put
were
it out.
talking, the premise was basically like Pete Alonso has won 2 home run derbies, and does the average person know anything about him as a baseball player? Like, is he good? Is he not good? Whatever. It feels like he has become like a home run derby guy, and that's like he's in danger. If he wins next year, I think he's entered that Nate Robinson zone of like, we don't even remember how good of a player you are. We just remember that every time the All-Star break happens, your face pops
Yes,
up.
yes, and you win something, and you have
win
this
something.
stupid chain hanging around your neck.
Yes, yeah, and that's that is what Pete Alonso has become. So we were gonna have some fun with that, but Ben talked too much, so
It's Ben's fault.
cut it.
I just want to say that my list was really dumb, so I'm glad we're not doing this, because the number one thing is that I wanted to, you can go check it out on our social platforms, as the kids say, but it was, the guy that does that one niche thing in sports, and I was going to be the teammate who doesn't play, but make sure everyone drinks a lot of water. So I'm glad we're not doing it.
Pretty sure that was me at Ohio State.
Yeah, I was going to be Mark. I'm really big into hydration. Anyone listening to this now, go drink a glass of water, because you probably haven't had enough
All
today.
right, well, to that, cheers. I'm gonna chug my glass right here.
Okay, bye.